Thanks for tuning in to the Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit podcast. I'm your host, John Nelson. Joining me is Anna Simmet. She is the editor of Biodiesel Magazine, Biomass Magazine, and Pellet Mill Magazine. Today, our special guest is Christopher Check. He is the Senior Research Scientist of Oil-Dri Corporation of America. He'll be speaking at 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, June 15th, and the title of his presentation is The Effect of Water on Metal Removal During Renewable Diesel Pretreatment. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Appreciate you being here.
Chris, thanks so much for joining us. I think let's start today. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about Oil-Dri Corporation of America and what your role is there.
Okay. Sure. So Oil-Dri is a mining and manufacturing company of specialty sorbent products. Our products are sold into a whole wide range of industries, such as pet care, for kitty litter, animal health and nutrition, fluids purification, agricultural ingredients for sports fields, and then also the automotive industries. I work in the fluids purification division, and the products for that industry originate from a unique mineral deposit located in southern Georgia. But we also have several other mining and manufacturing sites across the U.S.
Okay, interesting. And so, it's so interesting you guys are in the renewable diesel industry now. How can you relate, what you guys have traditionally done and now kind of what you're doing in that space?
So we've been in the fluids purification area for vegetable oil refining for quite some time. And during that process, you want to remove metals such as phosphorus or other contaminants metals during that process. So we already had a good deal of information on how our products would work in those type of fluids for removing those contaminants that are also necessary to remove for the renewable diesel application.
That's, I think that's a really great segue into my next question. Your presentation at the upcoming conference is focused on metals removal during renewable diesel pretreatment. So can you explain why metals removal is critical?
So it's critical for the lifetime of the catalyst. So some of these metals, like phosphorus, can be quite harmful to the catalyst. So it can degrade the catalyst, and then you'll have downtime. Some of the other contaminants can just cause problems with equipment. So you just want to minimize those in that feedstock going into that process.
Interesting. What type one quick question.
Ahead,
what types of metals are you pulling out? You talk about phosphorus, but what are the other metals?
So it's like iron, calcium, magnesium,
okay.
Just a lot of these common metals that you would see in these type of feedstocks.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so in your presentation, you're going to be talking about findings on the effect of moisture in the metal absorption process utilizing various absorbents and renewable diesel feedstocks. Can you give us kind of a preview or a couple examples of the absorbents and feedstocks you'll be discussing?
There's a couple different feedstocks that we're using, and typically we'll just make blends that would make sense from the pretreatment process coming into bleaching. So we keep the levels of those contaminants about what you would see in the real process, and then we do the bleaching here at our innovation center. So it's 4 different blends that we looked at during this study. And then the adsorbents, we looked at a couple of our adsorbents as well as competitors, and just kind of compared how those worked in the different feedstocks with different levels of moisture.
Okay, interesting. So I guess, is there anything else that you want to mention about your upcoming talk in terms of what our attendees can expect?
Well, I'm just going to share some of our findings about how during our findings, varying the amount of moisture affected the bleaching process. And then I'm going to share like a case study where we looked at optimizing the bleaching process parameters for specific oil by applying like a design of experiment model, and then share those details, and then share what we learned over the course of that study.
Well, it sounds really interesting, Chris. And normally during these interviews, we have one final question. It's kind of more fun. What would you say is your favorite part of your job?
Interesting.
I'm like kind of a lab junkie, so I love that I can just come up with a hypothesis, design an experiment, and just jump in the lab and test it.
Mm-hmm. You're not ever setting anything on fire, though? I feel like I was doing that a lot when I was in the lab back in high school.
The Bunsen burner.
Thank
Yeah. Well, awesome. You know what? I really look forward to this talk. Just can't believe it's already next week, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us to chat a little bit about your presentation, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.